Chicago, Brooklyn, let your fro show. Jared Allen throwing it out.
Power.
There is power in that.
Yes,
it
is.
Power dunks.
You stay in the lane, you do what you do, and they share, and then when in doubt, you come rotate, you say, get that shot out of here.
Becoming one of the elite shot blockers in the league. 19 points, 6 rebounds, and those 2 blocks for Jared Allen.
I love it.
That opened the court for these 2 guys. D'Angelo Russell finding Damari Carroll, who finds Russell back.
Yeah, but how about that Brooklyn bench? 52-29 advantage.
Absolutely. Carroll adding to that. 20 points in the game. It's still kind of a close one. And then when it's closing time, Shabazz Napier, he's got game for that.
Yes, he does.
18 points. But leading the way, a guy you've seen already, D'Angelo Russell, the lefty.
I think he's maybe starting to figure it out, Coach.
Well, he started to figure it out when Dinwiddie came off the bench and was playing as well as Dinwiddie was playing. He said, I better get my act going.
There you go.
You see the 28, that's an average night for Russell recently. Last 4 games, averaging 27 a night. Orlando and the LA Clippers. When pushing the rock, you find that guy, Aaron Gordon. I mean, he's in movies for his ability to dunk, right?
Well, you got to play good half-court defense, get out and run, and DJ, that's pretty smart of you.
Yeah, well, maybe when you're that close to the rim, the shot will go down, but that's not the case for Orlando. They were horrendous shooting the basketball.
Well, these high percentage shots, I guess we're seeing all their makes are.
Was the big-time block by Obama. Get that shot out of here.
Clippers down by 8, but cool, calm, collected. That's how you describe Tobias Harris. That's how you describe Danilo Gallinari.
Doc Rivers has done a pretty good job with those 2 forwards, playing one of them as a center sometime during the course of the game.
19-4, Clippers run.
Point
Then
center.
Aaron Gordon.
Point center, Vucevic with the perfect pass.
That's how you get some energy back into your team if you're Orlando. But in the second half, that energy gone. Tobias taking the air out of the balloon. Then Montrezl Harrell.
Energy on top of energy on top of energy.
Get low to get high.
The 4 blue jerseys sitting there, watch Harold go up and finish it off with 2 hands.
Love watching him play.
Ahead by 9, it's a luxury to have a guy like Lou Will. Keep the foot on the gas. 15-point lead turns to a 17-point lead. Clippers roll easily, 106-96, led by Tobias Harris with a game-high 28. Miami and Atlanta, and the Hawks, they can take flight. Dwayne Wade, though, when he makes a pass like this, might be play of the year.
Oh!
Derrick Jones.
Man.
It's a luxury to have a guy like that. Also, Vince Carter. 3D, is he older than you?
No,
Think so.
almost. He's only about 48. He's still getting it done, though.
Vince and Jeremy Lin coming off the bench killed Miami.
Hawks scored 41 points in the 3rd quarter. Trae Young finding his range in rhythm, 3 for 3 from 3-point range, 19 points for Trae.
How about Miami cannot beat the Atlanta Hawks? Hawks 3-0 versus Miami.
And Miami came into this one hot. They had won 8 of their last 10.
Playing well.
But as you see, this was all Hawks all the time. Lynn, 11 points in the final 3 minutes of that 3rd quarter, and then Vince Carter finishing out the game. Oh, how about that? Dwayne Wade still making his farewell tour and exchanging jerseys. Trae Young's going to appreciate that one.
Yep, he'll show it to the family back in the day. Say, the Hall of Famer, D. Wade, gave me some time.
Young, a lottery pick in this year's draft, but how about the top pick, DeAndre Ayton? Get out of his way.
Ooh.
Did Charlotte get the win, though?
He's been in the weight room.
Okay, so Karl Anthony Towns, 28 points in each of his last 7 games, but breaking news from Minnesota. Tom Thibodeau has been fired as the head coach. This, according to Adrian Wojnarowski and Shams Charania, both Yahoo and ESPN reporting that Tom Thibodeau is out as the head coach the Minnesota Timberwolves.
And president, too, right? I mean, he was the president, too, coach. So when you get fired, you lose both of those jobs, right?
I think you lose both of them.
Yeah, I don't think you fire the coach and not fire the president, right? Because he was the president making the decisions for the coach.
Well,
right time for that?
That could happen. You could fire somebody as a coach and keep him in the front office.
Right, okay.
Okay, like Urban Meyer leaves Ohio State, but he's going to be around some...
President and coach, he's out as both.
Yeah, as both.
So
that's
3D,
official. Okay. Ooh.
Looking at the situation in Minnesota, why now?
Well, I guess, Glenn Taylor is the owner who sat down with his group and said, doesn't like the way things are going. The Jimmy Butler situation wasn't great. If you go back and look, and people say the Houston trade was probably better because there was more, picks there. So maybe they sit down and said, let's pull the trigger now before the All-Star break, before the trade deadline. There's more moves to be made, Coach.
I look at it as because of their last stretch of 8 games, 5-3, brings them back into the playoff race. They're 2 games out of that 8th spot in the Western Conference. And you just got done saying how great Karl-Anthony Towns has been playing. Karl-Anthony Towns has a direct line to the owner of the team. That's how his contract got done over again. That wasn't a president making that move. That was the owner saying that. So maybe Karl-Anthony Towns knows more than we do about what was going on in that situation. Perhaps that's the reason why we see a rejuvenated Karl-Anthony Towns over the last 8 games. That's just speculation.
Well, again, this is reported right now. This is not official from the Minnesota Timberwolves, but if this is the case, you still have a team fighting for a playoff spot. What do they do now? How hard is it to find a head coach in the middle of a season?
I doubt that you make a move like that without knowing what direction you're heading in before.
Right.
Is it someone that's sitting out? And there are a number of recent head coaches that were fired that are sitting around, okay, that they might turn to. Or is there somebody within the organization that they have tremendous confidence in, that the players have shown the backing for that person, and that's who you turn to try and finish out, just like happened as Tyronn Lue took over in Cleveland and wound up finishing that season and was given the job full-time after that.
Yeah, in most cases, Chris, you stay within because one of those, if not all of those assistants collectively can continue to preach the system versus bringing a brand new coach in now and trying to, like to your point, last 8 games, Catman is rolling, so for a brand new coach to come in, now he has to either know the system they've been playing to kind of keep things going that way, or to your point, Coach, you're going to the top assistant you have in there. Maybe I think Ed Pinckney, is their top assistant right now.
I was just going to say.
He's been around a long time, and maybe it's an opportunity.
Ed Pinckney's been around a long time, has talked to a number of teams about possibly becoming their head coach. He's been by Thibodeau's side for a long, long time, and he's kind of been the go-between between players and coaching staff. Why not give him a chance? If
I think he deserves
it.
I think he deserves it. So it's be interesting.
So apparently Ryan Saunders is reportedly going to fill in on an interim basis as the coach there in Minnesota. So when you hear that name, what's the first thing you think about, Coach?
Think of his father, Flip.
Yep.
Okay? This young man grew up in a basketball household, and everyone who has worked with him has nothing but really good things to say about Ryan. So if that's the direction they're going in, he's going to work. He knows the game of basketball, and he obviously must be able to relate to the players because of the positions they've put him in within the organization. So if he's getting that shot, you wish him well, and we'll see the job he can do.
Ryan's been around from day one, to your point, Coach, as a kid. The one short year I was there, he's always been one of those kind of kids that's related to the players. He's been with the organization. He knows where as they say, where all the bodies are buried, so to speak. So I think he can fit in right away. And I think Cat and Wiggs and all those young guys that are there now, I think they would accept it as well.
More on this situation as it progresses. So we see Tom Thibodeau reportedly out as the head coach there in Minnesota. And also
down to 3, down to 2. It's a 3. Good! Good! He got it! James Harden, a flamethrower! Incredible shot!
Indeed it was. But check out this incredible quote from Daryl Morey. The Rockets GM says James Harden is the best offensive player of all time. What about Kareem, Michael, Kobe, guys like that? Brendan, is that hyperbole to say that James Harden is the greatest offensive player of all time?
I think it would be a better quote if you said he's the best offensive player of maybe this season, or maybe he's the best offensive player of this range, of this time period. But all time, I think it's very hard when you talk about what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was able to do, when you talk about what Michael Jordan was able to do. These guys were, Mike, especially Mike, he had plenty of seasons where he was over 30 points per game, between 30 and 35 points, and shooting incredible percentages along the way. I think from a one-on-one standpoint, when you look how physical the game was back in the day, Michael Jordan, to me, is still the best individual offensive player of all time. And if you put him in today's game where you couldn't touch him, I think that he would be even better. And it's hard to imagine Mike being even better, but he played through the bad boy Pistons and those Knicks teams that were really, really physical. You can't touch people now. He would have lived at the free throw line also, and he would have been able to get his game off in the mid-post.
I think the most accurate version of that quote may have been, he has been put in position to be the most prolific offensive player in the regular season. And I think that's possible. I think you could argue that. I think there are a lot of different statistical metrics you could use to say he has been put in position to be the most prolific. But to say you're the best offensive player of all time, like you said, if I take Michael Jordan, I put him in this era, and I tell him to do the things that they're asking James Harden to do, it's possible he grows and evolves into doing that at an altogether different level. You just don't know. But I certainly think he's been put in position. He's been really empowered, frankly, to take what used to look like horrifically bad shots. Mike D'Antoni is very comfortable with him taking those shots, and because they're running their entire offense through him, he goes 17, 18 seconds on the shot clock and then goes to a step back three. By the numbers, he only has to make a certain number of those to be the most prolific and efficient offensive player. That's fact. It's not a lot of fun to watch. He's awfully.
Oh, let's start the debate.
Out, Griff. We are not going. I'm not going to let you come up here and slander James Harden's game.
No slander. No slander.
Saying it's not fun to watch. James Harden. You watched that Golden State game, that wasn't fun to watch. James Harden was hitting crossovers, step back. He crossed Clay over, gave him the little slap on the butt, hit the shot on Draymond. Listen, he's making such great individual moves. I can't say that. I understand he goes to the free throw line a lot. I understand his usage is very high. But guess what? With Chris Paul out, I don't think I want Daniel House creating shots for himself. So I think I love what he's doing, and I think it's exciting.
So for me, I'm not trying to slander him at all. I think what he's done has been mind-numbing. And it's a mea culpa on my part for not appreciating him enough before this run. It really is. It's remarkable. I don't like watching someone go dribble tantrum for 18 seconds. I don't. I like the ball to move. I like the game when it's symmetry in motion. I like it when it's the floor spread and the ball hums around. Now, look, the reality is most of the best players in this league play a very similar way to James. It's just that they don't have the ability to take and make difficult shots like he does, so they have to draw and kick, which then starts the ball moving around.
I got a question for you.
So I'm holding him responsible for the fact that he can actually make shots that other people don't get to take. What does Steph Curry look like if he's not playing with other players who demand the ball and demand movement? Steph Curry can take and make almost all of those same shots. But he's not playing that way. And I would rather watch that product personally.
And I think that Steph Curry can play a different way and he can play a different style because he gets absolute spacing when you talk about Klay Thompson and when you talk about those other players out there, Kevin Durant. He doesn't have to play that way. James has to play that way. Similar, my question was, when you say you don't like James Harden's style playing that way, it's the exact same style LeBron James had last year when they went to the finals.
Right, but he's drawing and kicking.
But who else was LeBron going to let Jordan Clarkson take him to the playoffs? No, that is a recipe.
Totally get it.
That is a recipe for failure. I think that James Harden, he does have high usage, but guess what? I think a lot of guys have high usage in this league, and when you look at Houston's team, especially right now with what they have with Chris Paul being out, I think he has to play like this, and I love seeing it, and it's been successful. We just saw LeBron go to the finals last year, basically with him and 4 Rocks starting.
It's a true story.
Well, you mentioned that success. It's been 12 games of it, and what a run it's been for James Harden. 40 points a night over the last 12 games.
I got you back, James.
40 points in each of the last 5 games. Listen to the names on that list. Jordan, Kobe, AI. Those are the only other players who do it in the last 50 years.
Are they good? Those names sound like good names.
I think they're historically good.
They're pretty good.
Will that streak extend to 6 games tonight, Brendan?
I'm saying yes. I'm going over. I think James is on a run. I think, once again, the usage is high. He's hot right now. He's incredibly confident. And there's not really a player on Portland's team that I worry about defensively that can get into James and force him to do something that he doesn't want to do or make him uncomfortable. So I think James goes over 40 tonight. I'm
going to go with the under. And the reason is,
Hey.
I'm going to go with the under, and the reason is, for me personally, I just look at that list. I look at the names on that list. I look at how many times he's done it, and I'm going to go for regression to the mean. He's due to have a regular superstar kind of night where he gets 34.
Okay.
Maybe we should save this for later tonight and see who came out on top with their prediction. Okay.
You seen movie Trading Places? Gentlemen's bet? $1 Winthorpe.
Placed at 7:10 p.m. Warriors also back.